Peace be upon you, brothers and sisters. The raging firestorm was engulfing everything in its path, creating a scene of chaos with the desperate cries of animals and humans echoing all around. Amidst this devastation, the bravery and compassion shown by a Muslim pilot toward American Jews will leave you in awe. In the midst of the Los Angeles fires, this Muslim American pilot did something so remarkable that it became a story of faith and humanity. As this news spreads, people are deeply touched, and even though the Jewish media is trying to suppress it, the truth has gone viral. Before diving into the cruelty displayed by some individuals and the humanity shown by a Muslim, let me remind you, if you're visiting this channel for the first time, don't forget to subscribe. This way you'll stay updated on all the latest inspiring stories. Now let's move on to this incredible and faith-strengthening account. Since January 7th, Los Angeles has been battling an intense heat storm. The origins of this fire are so mysterious that even scientists cannot understand how it started in the mountains. This fire, which initially consumed the forests, quickly spread to human settlements, turning many homes into ashes. Countless people have lost their homes, and the cries of the victims paint a picture of an impending apocalypse. It feels as though the day of judgment has arrived in America, or perhaps the end of the world is beginning in a corner of the earth. Despite days passing, this relentless fire remains uncontrollable. America, which proudly calls itself a superpower, has been rendered helpless before this calamity, unable to free itself from this storm sent by Allah. In one of the affected neighborhoods lived a Muslim family. At the time of the fire, a woman and her child were inside their home. By the time they tried to gather their belongings and escape, the fire had already engulfed their house. Everything began to burn. Each time the woman attempted to exit through a door, the flames nearly reached her. Desperately, she cried out for help. But whether due to bad luck or a test of the surrounding community's morality, the response was shocking. The Jews in the neighborhood had evacuated others from their homes, those who were also Jewish. However, when they heard the cries of this woman and her child, they initially rushed to help. But upon realizing that this house belonged to a Muslim woman, they hesitated. They remembered a recent debate they had with her about religion, in which her arguments had silenced even a prominent Jewish rabbi. This memory reignited their hatred. They stepped back and said, "We won't save her. If she needs help, she should ask her God." The woman, embodying helplessness, watched as these people ignored her cries and saved others while leaving her and her child behind. The house trembled as its structure weakened, and it seemed inevitable that it would collapse soon. Realizing this, the woman began reciting the Shahada, Islamic declaration of faith. Holding her child close and braced herself for what she thought would be her final moments. With a deafening crash, the house collapsed completely, the flames reduced to embers and ash. Inside the crumbling structure, the woman clung to her child, bracing for the worst. She had fully surrendered herself to Allah, believing her end was near. Yet when the dust settled, a miraculous sight unfolded. Neither the woman nor her child bore even a single scratch. The spot where they stood was untouched by the debris or flames, as if shielded by divine intervention. Outside, the Jewish neighbors who had abandoned her stood frozen, their disbelief evident on their faces. They had expected nothing short of tragedy for the Muslim woman and her child, but the reality before them was beyond comprehension. The fire, which had consumed everything in its path, had inexplicably spared her. The woman, overwhelmed with gratitude, held her child close and recited a prayer of thanks to Allah. As she stepped out of the rubble with unwavering confidence, her voice rang out with conviction. Turning to the shocked crowd, she said, "You told me to ask my Lord for help. Look how my Lord has come to my aid." Her words carried the weight of undeniable truth, silencing the murmurs of doubt among the onlookers. With her child nestled in her arms, the woman walked away from the scene, her faith unshaken and her spirit unbroken. The Jews, witnessing this extraordinary event, were left in a state of shock. The event seemed to challenge everything they believed, leaving them pondering the power of faith and the divine force that had saved her. The firestorm continued to spread, consuming the entire community. Roads leading to safer areas were blocked by fallen, half-burned trees and rocks from the mountains. The ground roads were completely cut off, leaving people terrified. Videos of the destruction surfaced on social media, giving the impression that a small-scale apocalypse had begun in Los Angeles. Black smoke covered the skies, and sparks flew through the air. The intensity of the heat storm was such that it was burning people's clothes. Around 70 people were trapped, begging for their lives. They recorded videos pleading for help before the internet connection would inevitably fail. Most aircraft were engaged in firefighting efforts, but one Muslim American pilot did something extraordinary. This pilot was initially tasked with extinguishing the fire, a duty that carried immense risk. However, as he soared over the burning landscapes, he witnessed an overwhelming number of people below, crying out for help, their despair echoing in the chaos. The sight moved him deeply. Instead of focusing solely on his assigned task, he decided to prioritize saving lives. The pilot identified a relatively safe open space amidst the chaos, where he could land his aircraft. He made an announcement to the people below, urging them to come aboard to escape the inferno. The scene on the ground was one of sheer desperation. People scrambled toward the aircraft, pushing and shoving each other in a frantic rush to secure a place on board. Fear and panic overshadowed any sense of order. In this chaos was the Muslim woman still clutching her child tightly. Despite her best efforts to reach the plane, she was pushed down by some in the crowd, including a group of Jewish individuals, their fear driving them to act selfishly. Their sole concern was to save themselves, disregarding the woman's plight. Undeterred, the woman fought through the crowd and eventually managed to climb aboard the plane. The atmosphere inside the aircraft was tense, as sparks from the raging firestorm outside struck the metal exterior. Every passenger was visibly shaken, and an ominous silence filled the cabin. The pilot, now airborne, remained focused despite the chaos around him. Flames rose high into the sky, creating an overwhelming sense of dread among those on board. Passengers clung to their seats, unable to predict what fate awaited them. Through it all, the pilot displayed exceptional composure. He continued reassuring the passengers, his calm demeanor offering a glimmer of hope in the midst of uncertainty. The journey ahead was fraught with danger, but his decision to prioritize humanity over protocol became a beacon of hope for those desperate souls inside the plane. If the sparks had ignited a fire, everyone would have been killed in seconds. Amidst this chaos, the Muslim woman began saying, "Allahu Akbar, God is the greatest," continuously praying and seeking Allah's help. Holding her child close, she recited prayers, her faith unwavering. A Jewish woman sitting nearby grew irritated by this, and, along with others, threatened to push the Muslim woman out of the plane if she invoked God's name again. Despite this, the woman remained calm, saying, "I have complete trust in my Lord. Just as he saved me from the burning house, he will save me now. If my death is not destined, I will survive." The Jews, angered by her faith, continued to pray insincerely, their voices hollow. Meanwhile, the pilot began reciting Quranic verses through the microphone, encouraging everyone to pray and stay calm. The fire reached the rear of the plane, spreading smoke inside. Passengers at the back moved forward in fear. The pilot attempted to land the plane safely, but discovered that the landing gear had malfunctioned due to the heat. Panic ensued among the passengers, particularly the Jews, who had given up hope and accepted their impending death. However, the pilot, trusting in Allah, managed to safely land the plane in an open field. The Jews on board were astounded. Despite the malfunction, the plane landed smoothly. Emergency exits were opened, and all passengers were safely evacuated. The Jews, who moments earlier had doubted the existence of God, repeatedly thanked the pilot. The pilot responded, "I had full faith in my Lord. He would not let anything harm us." Perhaps this is a chance for you to reflect and embrace the truth. Overwhelmed by emotion, the Jewish passengers began to cry and express their willingness to accept Islam. This remarkable incident has left everyone who heard about it in awe. Even though efforts were made to suppress the story, it has gone viral. The raging fire in Los Angeles is now seen as a form of divine punishment. American authorities, once calling themselves a superpower, are now helpless, sitting empty-handed as they face this calamity. Efforts to control the fire are ongoing, but it continues to spread, threatening other cities across the United States. May Allah guide the misguided and grant us all the ability to walk the path of righteousness. Ameen.